Two groups of trigonometry high school called sine and cosine walk into the right triangle cafeteria and fight over the longest table called hypotenuse every day. When working with right triangles, the longest side of the triangle that is opposite of the right angle is called the hypotenuse. Hypotenuse comes from the Greek word hypotenusa, hypo meaning under, ten meaning stretch or thin, and usa, which is the feminine present participle suffix for the word. That's how the longest table got its name. The group at the bottom call themselves sine since they always walk in through the doors of the cafeteria that is opposite of the lunch lines. The sign of the right triangle, sine coming from the Latin word sinus meaning curve, fold, or pocket, is the trigonometric function that is equal to the ratio of the side opposite a given angle to the hypotenuse. The group at the top call themselves cosine since they always walk through the doors of the cafeteria that is adjacent to the lunch lines. The cosine of a right triangle, cosine coming from the Latin word cosinus, where co meaning the complement of and sinus meaning curve, fold, or pocket, is the trigonometric function that is equal to the ratio of the side adjacent to the acute angle to the hypotenuse. Tired of fighting every day, Principal Ratio decided to break it up. A ratio is the quantitative relation between two amounts showing the number of times one value contains or the contained within another. Ratio is the Latin word meaning reckoning, account, calculation, or derivative. Principal Ratio is really good at creating relationships between his students just like ratios create relationships with numbers, so it's kind of ironic that's his name. Anyway, he was tired of the groups sine and cosine arguing over the table hypotenuse every day. Principal Ratio had an idea and decided enough was enough. He said, there won't be groups called sine and cosine and everyone needs to start cooperating with each other. The students were outraged. Each group wanted him to agree with them. Then he said, both groups shall be called tangent. Tangent of a right triangle is the length of the opposite side divided by the length of the adjacent side. It comes from the Latin tangent, stem of tangens, present participle of tangere, which means to touch. Tangent is also known as sine divided by cosine. The principal continued. Since tangent incorporates both sine and cosine, there is no reason for you guys to argue over the table anymore. Besides, it is big enough for both groups, well, now one large group, to fit. After that, there wasn't any arguing over hypotenuse anymore. The groups sine and cosine weren't separated anymore. Instead, they all had lunch together at the hypotenuse table in a group called tangent.